about cultivating puñña, merits, okay, and how to basically to have a meritorious awakening in some way, because I think our lifestyle currently is not really meritorious, seriously, it's very materialistic, very capitalistic, and that's why the world that we are living now is having so much problem. So how, by cultivating a meritorious life, building up merits, can actually change our world. So today I will just kind of go through this session. First of all, I would like to kind of like bring up or remind ourselves what actually Buddha said. Okay, let's go back to the source. What did he say about merit making? And from there, we go through the teachings, and then we come back to ourselves. How do we follow the teaching, and how do we make the changes required to have this meritorious awakening? Okay, let's get started. Oh, where? Okay. Now, the Buddha in the Dhammapada have a very clear and concise advice on merit making. He says, should a person merit make, let him do it again, time and again, and turn his heart to delight therein. For happiness is the accumulation of merit. So basically, the Buddha's encouragement is that we should just do it, at every waking moment, not just doing during a special occasion. Every waking moment, we should do it. And because every time we do something good, every time we conduct a meritorious undertaking, our heart tends to be delightful, and it makes it light. It makes it light. Our mind gets light, right? And through this light heartedness, then we are able to share very easily. I will come back to this merit sharing later on, what it actually really means, in both the suttas and also for our practice. Okay, and this is accumulative. The merits that we make is accumulative. It does not stop here and now. It accumulates. It's like interest, you put into the bank and it just accumulates. And you don't know how it will come back to help you. You really don't know. But do not expect it to come back at the time that you need it. But it will come back in many ways that you don't even expect. All right? So we just do it, and then our happiness we share with others. That's basically the spirit of merit making, as the Buddha teaches. Now, the Buddha's advice on merit making is basically, he says that it is something of an antidote, a very formidable antidote to help us face challenges every day. Okay? He says, do not fear merit making. It brings to happiness. All right? It is something that's desirable, pleasing, dear, and charming. Okay? After merit making for a long time, we can experience desirable, pleasant, dear, and charming results for a long time. I think that's the key thing. All right? So let's train ourselves in merit making that yield long-lasting happiness. Cultivate the practice of giving, virtuous conduct, and metta. So by cultivating these qualities, we arrive at untroubled and happy states. This is very clearly stated in the Iti Bhuttaka, Sutta number 22. Okay. And he says, another advice in the Dhammapada, verse 1 to 2, he says, do not think not lightly of merit making, says it will not come to me. Okay. He says, just as by falling water drops is a water pot filled, even so accumulating little by little is a wise man filled with merit. So again, it's very consistent. The Buddha says, the moment you conduct good things, do meritorious, it gets accumulated. I think not many people understand this, They're saying that, I just do a merit and hopefully, tomorrow or something will come. It doesn't work that way. You build merit for merit's sake. There's no expectation of any result, right? You just build it, But when it comes in many, many different ways. So we just do it, not expecting anything. Because the moment we expect something, it becomes very result oriented. We do something good to expect something in return, and that is a value-based decision making, right? It's in ROI. You do something and then you expect something back. So that is what we are having right now. Goodness is dependent upon a return, and this way, yes, you can have progress, but the thing at the same time, we may be, what call this leaving behind, a situation which is not conducive or not sustainable in the long term. Okay, let's go on. Actually, the Buddha in the suttas, he only mentioned, 3 ways of making merit. 3 ways, all right? Number 1 is giving, dana. Number 2 is moral conduct, sila, and the third is meditation. So you make merit by just doing these 3 things. Okay, but over the years, it has been expanded to 10, like this. Okay, so the first one is the same, giving, then moral conduct, then meditation. Then after that, the next 7 one, you have respect or reverence. Then service in helping others, transference of merit, rejoicing in others' merit, expounding, teaching Dhamma, listening to Dhamma, and correcting one's view. So for the sake of the general public, I will just use this slide because this is quite common already, and it has been taught for over, probably thousands of years, and we use this slide to go through how to actually conduct merit-making activities. Let's start off with dana. Most of you know how to do dana. Just giving. When we say do dana, means we offer foods to monks, and or the 4 prerequisites like robe, medicine, and then shelter. Right, building temple, building kutis. Now is the rains retreat. Then we will do the katina, and this is very common, and it's a very good way to foster a spirit of generosity. But dana is in this specific way, it's very related to Buddhist activities only. So if you expand dana to also help people, in a broader sense, right? Practicing generosity, not so much about giving to beggars or whatever, but giving for noble causes, helping out people who are unfortunate, the OKUs, for instance, helping out the welfare homes, and also the old folks homes. These are very good ways of practicing generosity, because you're giving yourself, not only just money, you're giving yourself in making the food, or giving time, helping out in the place, like painting up the place, repairing certain facilities. So when you give without expecting anything in return, this is a very, very powerful way of expressing and demonstrating generosity. Okay. Then another way of merit making is actually moral conduct. By practicing moral conduct, right? For example, 5 precepts. When you do 5 precepts, you avoid harming another person, whether by killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, making false speeches, and then keeping away from intoxication. By practicing the 5 precepts, you avoid harming another person. Just by practicing the 5 precepts and just by avoiding harming, that itself is a merit. So people will sometimes say, what do you mean? Practice 5 precepts is merit making. Precisely, you imagine you sit down, practicing metta meditation, example, metta meditation, and you just sit down for 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, you're just by yourself. You're not saying bad things about another person. You're not participating in gossip. You're not, misleading another person. Imagine in that 5 minutes, you stop doing these three things. You're just by yourself. By reducing the opportunity to not doing negative things, that itself is merit making. Okay, so it's very positive. So moral conduct is very important because it gives you discipline to upgrade yourself to become a virtuous person, and by being virtuous, you avoid hurting another person. That itself, builds up your merits. All right. And third one, meditation, bhavana, similarly with moral conduct, but at the higher level. So what you do is that when you practice meditation, whether metta or vipassana or anapanasati, you basically improve yourself, you upgrade yourself, okay? You refine your mannerism, you refine your thoughts, so that instead of just, avoiding harm, you actually elevate yourself to a higher plane where you can spread your generosity and you spread your good deeds, your good aspects to even further, more than the people that surrounds you, further, and involve more and more people. With the internet nowadays, you can actually do that, right? So during those Buddha's time, he said don't have internet, then he said use his third eye. But now with internet, imagine you have good thoughts, good ideas, and then you're a very good writer, and you're able to put all these teachings into a blog, for instance, okay? And then you put it up online and people discover you. And there you are, you're sharing all your good things beyond your house, beyond your area. And it spreads all over the world. So imagine, people from other countries come and see you and says, I like what you are teaching, it inspires me. So basically, do not underestimate the power of a settled mind. I would call it a settled mind, Many of us who do not meditate have this unsettled mind. We are always anxious. We are always, unsure. Always don't know what to do. When we have a little bit of problem, then we go around getting all messed up. So I think once we have a settled mind, we look at things very differently. And when we look at things differently, we make very different decisions. All right. So those decisions that comes out, whether you're helping another person or whether you're engaging with somebody else, it will the consequences will reverberate in very, very different ways. Okay, so do not underestimate the power of self cultivation. All right, so bhavana is a very powerful merit making way, and this is something that it has been encouraged. So the top three, generosity or dana, sila, and bhavana, are basically what the Buddha actually said. He himself said these three things are required for merit making. So as again I said, over the years, over the time, it has been expanded to 10. Now number 4 to number 10 here, the next 7 ones, it's not that the Buddha never say it, but he said it in many other places. All right. So the Sutta compilers, the curators, later on, what they did was they just compiled this into making it into 10, right? For us to follow the teachings in a much more organized way. So the top three, 1, 2, 3, dana, sila, and bhavana is actually spoken by the Buddha. 4 to 10 is not actually spoken to Buddha at one place, but at many various places. Okay, but I think it's good to go over. So the next one, respect or reverence, apaciti sahagatan. So it's basically to show reverence to someone that's older than you or someone that have helped you. Okay. One of the first example that came to mind in the suttas is the commentaries. Is respect for parents. So parents is actually very important. Respecting parents is very important to the Buddhist teaching. The Buddha actually tell the monk, right? The lay people respects you, all right, and you respect the elders. That means your teachers and all. But another group that the Buddhas exhort the monks to respect are their parents, So he did not say anybody else except the parents. The parents may be lay people. They're not people in Kuni. They're just lay people. But because they give birth to this monk, right, the Buddha exhorts him to pay respect to the parents. That itself, respecting the elders, the holy ones, the parents. Now this is merit making. I think Asian society generally have this thing intact. The moment we loses this, I think society will kind of like won't be strong anymore. In the West, I think in the old days, just one generation ago, they were still very respectful for the elders. But today, I really don't see I really don't see them practicing as much as say in Asian society. So we should keep this aspect in our society where we always continuously respect the elders, and not just for merit making but as a duty also. Okay. The next one, service in helping others. The late chief is a strong believer in this service in helping others. There is no other way of service than providing service to others. You cannot service yourself, isn't it? You have to service another person. But service, not so much of making yourself slave to another person. All right. The moment you feel being a slave to another person or another group, you do not feel that freedom to help. But that is not entirely merit making. Okay, you must serve with abandonment. That means you serve with an open heart. You do not service to be just to make the person happy, to make the person pleased. Not that way. Initially, yes, maybe because you're not disciplined yet, that person may ask you to serve in a certain way, and then you have to accommodate. Example, but this is more like training. But the moment you finish the training, and then when you want to serve in a way that kind of like becomes natural, and you will still feel that you don't do it out of free will. You just feel like I'm doing it out of obligation. Then that is not an open-hearted service providing. You feel being forced. You feel being like being a burden. The moment you have that, then the merit, I would say, is not really there. Okay, because merit making in this sense means you have to do it wholeheartedly and with their own free will. Okay, so it will inconvenience you, but you welcome the inconvenience. That's the key thing. You want to do it because you want to do it, not because someone else asked you to do it. All right, so you do it, and then the moment you have this sort of attitude, then you can really see that you are making merits. Okay, so serve with an open heart, I would say. All right, do not serve with an obligated heart. Serve with an open heart, so it builds up a personality that is light and happy and embracing. Okay, so you help because you want to, not because you have to. All right. The next one is called transference of merit. Now this one is a bit tricky, because I've been studying some scriptures. Apparently, transference of merit. First of all, let me state it categorically. Transference of merit is now part and parcel of a Buddhist life, especially in the Theravada tradition. You cannot fail to have transference of merits at the end of every session, even today. All right, every session we have a transference of merit. In Qingming, we do transference of merit. All right, we do this because it is part and parcel of our Buddhist life. But if you look at the Buddhist scriptures, transference of merits has a conflict, with karma vipaka. If you understand karma vipaka, it says when you do something, a consequence will come to you, right? An action, a reaction, a consequence. Your karma is predicated upon your action. So whatever result that come out from that action is dependent on the quality of that action. If the quality is good, is of meritorious, then the result is good and meritorious. If the action is evil, action is harmful, the result, therefore, will be likewise. Okay. So one monk, his name is Venerable Dhamika, Australian monk. Once he gave a talk, and I heard he says, if you can transfer good merits, why can't you transfer bad merits? So transference of merit has a deeper meaning than that. So we should not take literally, that whatever good we do, we transfer to somebody else. All right. I will explain further down this talk, because this one is actually in some ways we have to be very clear. What does it mean by transference of merits? And how do you transfer these merits when you have built up good merits? And does it really help or not? All right. Now, if you're interested, you can read his book. Is it really possible to transfer merit? I have given the link down here, but blooms.org. All right, and you can actually go to this website. What he said here is that the transference of merit, this book is written by Venerable Dhamika. Okay, the transference of merit is the belief that it is possible to do good, then transfer the karmic result. All right, that karmic result that good to a person who has passed away. This is current in all Buddhist countries where Theravada is reversed, but universally believed but clearly seriously contradicts the Buddha's teaching of karma. Okay, so in this article, he actually explains what it means by merit transfer and how you can practice transfer of merits in a way that does not contradict the understanding of karma. You can still transfer. I'm not saying you cannot, all right? But you must have a good understanding of this merit transfer. If you have a wrong understanding, then you fall into this ROI thing, return on investment. I do good, I transfer to my merits to my departed relatives, and hopefully, they protect me from harm. Once you have this sort of thinking, and then you're trapped in this cycle, of materialism. All right. So when you say you want to transfer, it has to be transferred in a way that transforms you. Okay. And at the same time, benefit many, many other people. How do we do that? I will come to the end of this talk and explain how we can actually do that. So transfer of merit is actually a key thing in merit making. All right. Okay, next one. Rejoicing in others' merit. Okay, anumodana. So this is a very it's a good way of social practice, all right? When people do good, we rejoice. So we reduce our tendency to be jealous, tendency for envy. By itself, rejoicing in other people's merit is a practice in bringing down our impurities. Okay, as I mentioned just now, jealousy, envy. So because these two things, jealousy and envy, can in turn grow into hatred. All right, one of the evil roots. So by reducing these two impurities, we are actually making merits. Okay, so continue to rejoice. Right, continue to rejoice in the goodness of other person. If someone has done well, don't have a grudge. Especially if someone is a competitor to you. In company, of course, I cannot say because you're a competition, you see. You want to earn money. But in the temple, for instance, I see situations where you have cliques or groups, okay? Being created simply because this group says I done something, the other group says, they stole my idea. And then you can't talk. So in that way, you do not actually practice this point, you see. So whatever the situation, you know, in any social setting, whether it's a temple or in a social setting, obviously we have political alliances, right? We have politics. But by practicing in rejoicing other people's merit, I think it can help to reduce this aspect of your personality. Okay. So number 4, 5, 5, 6, 7 is actually very service oriented. When we talk about Buddhist services, right, we have to keep these 3 elements in mind, and then service in these 3 manner in the best possible way as possible in order to obtain the fruits of a meritorious thinking, right? Okay, let's move on. The next one, 8, 9, and 10 is relating to learning of Dharma, you know. Okay, learning and experiencing the Dhamma, the Buddha's teaching, and then sharing it. So it's not just about learning, so it's about teaching also. You know, some people say, oh, I'm not a teacher, I just want to learn. But if you ask any teacher, they will tell you the best way to learn is to share, to teach. Okay. So sharing doesn't mean that you must teach to a group, or, you know, teach to you must come to a certain level, then only you can teach. No, not necessary. If you learn something and through a conversation, example with a friend or with a family member, and suddenly there's an opportunity to bring in the Dhamma. When you share that opportunity, that is already teaching, because you put a Dhamma into a context of the experience. And then when the experience and the Dhamma are linked, you know, that person who receives that Dhamma and the experience, when he connects the dot, he sees something, and that itself is a positive thing. So when you do that, when you teach the Dhamma, right, and it makes a difference to somebody else, that itself is merit making. Okay, so do not always say, you know, oh, I cannot teach, I am just a learner. There's no such thing. When you teach, when you learn, you share. When you share, you learn some more. Okay, because the experience that comes back to you opens you up entirely differently, right? So you may think that, you know, you learn from a monk or you learn from a book, right? And then you take the teaching example, maybe say killing, right? And you have some idea not to kill, example, the first precept. But when you actually meet out someone who's about to kill a cat, and then you stop the person killing the cat, and then you see the cat being so grateful and then run away, right? That experience is totally different, you know, different from what you learn from the monk and learn from the book, totally different, okay? So what you do is that you learn, you teach, you apply, and then it comes back to you again, a learning experience, okay? So basically, teaching is essential as a Buddhist, because I think it actually makes us become wiser in that way. All right, move on. Listening to Dhamma. Now, I've been learning for 30 over years, and yet I still learn a lot, you know. Sometimes I pick up a book, or I go and listen to a monk, or I do work for a monk, for instance, all right? And sometimes a monk, when you become friends with them, they don't just teach you, you know. Once in a while, they give you a call. Are you free, brotherly? I say, yeah. Then apparently he's bored. He wants to talk, okay? And then he will share his experiences about what happened, you know, to him. And then suddenly he bring up Dhamma teaching, right? And in relation to that. And after that, he quote a sutta. And then all of a sudden you say, hey, that's interesting. I never saw it that way, you see. So when you listen to Dhamma, it actually opens up yourself. There's so many things we have not learned, seriously. We think we learned the basic. What we have learned actually is just basic. But we have not learned many, many things, okay? So continue to work with monks, continue to serve them. Once you're close to them, they will open up to you, all right? And they will teach you. So I believe over the years, we do not have this community living, right? So we visit the temple once a week. We go to a Dhamma session maybe once a week. Sometimes you go to a meditation session, that also once a week. After 1 hour, 2 hours, then we go back, right? We're not always close to that community of monks. And when we are in a formal setting, they'll teach formally, right? They teach formally 1 2 hours. And because you're not just the only one, you have a few other people involved. And therefore, he will just teach, and whatever time that is there, and that's it, But if you are always serving the person, sometimes, out ad hoc, out of the blue, you just give dana to the monk. By yourself, example, no need to be a group. Or you just drop by the temple and then, just visit him. If there's anything that needs to be done, maybe some chores you help out. Now, during those kind of informal activities, a relationship or a kind of like a connection can be made. And you don't know, sometimes these monks will teach you, right? During there and then. But even if he doesn't teach you, he will be observing you, your mannerism, your character, your personality. And then during a formal talk, right, he will give a Dharma talk just for you, because he knows you in a personal setting. But in a Dhamma talk, he feels that these values, these characteristics are very good to share with the crowd, right? And therefore, he uses this example and share with the crowd, you see. So basically, somebody else goes sound. So basically, sometimes you attend a talk and then say, hey, why this monk talk about me? It happens. So it is good to always be close to the Sangha and listen. I think listening is a good practice, and it actually builds up a storehouse of merits, because it clears out a lot of doubt. Sometimes you think you know, but when you hear it in another way, it clears up the doubt. Okay, and that's what leads us to the last one, which is correcting one's view. You listen to Dhamma, you teach the Dhamma, you learn new experiences, and then you have a different way of looking at things. Okay, sometimes we are so closeted. I would say that closeted means narrow-minded. Okay, we have a fixed view. We learn Buddhism, and therefore this is it. We think this is it. This is life. We don't need anything else. But life is not just about in an enclosed area, right? Life is a lot of things. Yes, the Buddha said, holding the Simsapa leaves, he said, right? He said, how many leaves are there, in my hand? Is it more here, or the leaves on the floor? Which is more? He asked Ananda. Ananda said, of course, the leaves on the ground is more than the leaves on your hand. Then the Buddha tell him, therefore, whatever I teach you is equivalent to the number of leaves in my hand. Right? It's more than enough for you to achieve enlightenment. No need to go through all that down there. Yes, it's true. What the Buddha teaches is that because we have limited time in our lifespan, okay, so we just follow his basic teachings, learn as much as we can. Even that is a lot, Now, with that amount, it's enough for us to enter into stream meaning, for example. So you don't have to go through everything else. You don't have to learn about Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, to become enlightened. Just say follow Buddhism. But within Buddhism itself, don't go narrow anymore. All right? Don't go and say, okay, this is my sectarian school, and therefore I only follow this school because the monks say like that. You be a bit open-minded and says, okay, let's explore. Let's get the basics correct, number one, and then let's allow ourselves to explore. Okay, so when we have this opportunity to open ourselves a bit more, we will have the opportunity to connect more dots. Sometimes you learn 30 years something, you just cannot get it, cannot get it until something happened. Right, you meet someone or an event arises, and then you participate in the event or join in the person for discussion, and suddenly an idea arises. Okay, a moment of awakening arise, and then suddenly you see things very differently. It will happen, even though you may be a practitioner for many, many years, I've seen monks for many years, 30 years, 40 years. In the end, he says, he tells me, I was too serious for too long, I should have, lightened up. Maybe I could have, seen things a bit different 20, 30 years ago. But it's still not too late. But now he's already 70, 80. Okay. So you don't know. You just don't know. So you keep yourself flexible. Don't keep yourself closeted. Okay. Don't keep yourself in a closed mind. Keep yourself free, amiable, they call it. Free, relax, and then allow for opportunity to arise. At the same time, you keep your basics solid, all right? Keep your basics strong, solid. At the same time, don't close up. Be open. When you do that, and then all these things will come together and then open up yourself, allow you to open up yourself to new opportunities. Okay. So basically, this is the 10 ways of merit making, as basically outlined in most Buddhist teachings nowadays in the Theravada tradition. Again, as I said just now, the Buddha only mentioned of 3 in the suttas. The first 3, Dana, Sila, and Bhavana. The other 7 is just add on over the years, okay? Taken from elsewhere, from all the suttas, and combined to 10. This list is actually very good, all right? I'm not saying that even though it's not specifically mentioned by Buddha in any one sutta, this list is actually very good. It actually is very organized and helpful in helping us to make meritorious decision, okay? Now let's move on. I think this is an important thing, all right? Meaning versus value. Now, when we do things, we always look at returns, okay? So currently, as we say, our conditioning is actually too value-based. The mindset is very materialistic and very ROI inclined. Because we've been born like that. Go to school, all right? Take exam, get good marks. When you get good marks, what you're given to a good class, right? If you score badly, you'll be demoted to a bad class, right? In the good class, you get better teachers. And the friends also different one compared to a bad class, correct or not? So this is your condition since young, right? Exams result is very, very, I would say, materialistic, right? An exam-oriented place so much value, is placed so much value by society that if you fail or cannot meet that kind of level, you'll be like, I would say, being talked about in your family, especially during the gatherings, You can see one family says, oh, my children scored how many A's in this exam. How many have you scored? 1 A. Then, the situation is not very nice already, correct or not? Then imagine a young child, a young child being brought up in that way, conditioned that way, And because your result is predicated, is dependent upon which school you go to, which class you go to, then later on which school you go to. You get good result, you get to a very good university. A good university allows you for obviously better networking, correct? Better networking compared to one that you go to, let's say, a lower university. And then you have a society that conditions you since young, okay, to become very, very materialistic. Now it's even worse. If you got money, you can go into all these good schools. First, good kindergarten, then good schools, then good universities. It's no more even like, just get to the university and then you depend on yourself and grow up, right? And society has become like that. So it is value-based. You value your time, you value your contribution, you value your personality. When you do that, you expect some return. Okay? And this is what's happening to the world. And I think this is we have gone way above, the system that is sustainable. So what we need to do is now we need to decondition it and create meanings-based. I would call it meritorious mindset. Okay, meanings-based. We do something that is of meaning rather than of value. What is it? What is the meaning of this? I spend my time talking to this old folk. Okay, 20 minutes, 1 hour. I spend my time on him or her. I get nothing, you know. Half the time, maybe he talk nonsense, you know. You topic here, especially those a bit dementia one. He keep on talking again and again the same old thing, right? And then after a while, then you're thinking, I know, when will this end? So boring. Number one, boring. Number two, is like it's meaningless. It's like a broken clock again and again and again. But you want to spend time with him, all right? But when you're about to go, that person hold your hand, all right? Hold your hand, and then with a smile, and then you leave. To you, it's nothing, you know. But to that person, is everything. Okay, so that's meaning. You've done something that means so much to the other person, but it's like useless to you. You're like wasted 1 hour. So it has no value to you. Okay, but to the other person, so much meaning for her or him. So how do you process this? Okay, is this kind of condition, is this useful in this world? All right. And so we bring into the bigger picture, a materialistic or value-based mindset, or a meritorious-based or a meanings mindset. Okay. Between these two, if we choose one over the other, how will our world change? We ask this question, right? Today, our society is values-based since young. Okay. And then when we graduate, when we work in a corporate life, it is very materialistic. Everybody's a dogfight kind of situation, right? So we build our life in this way. So we think consumerism, we think pollution, we think pandemics, climate change, etc., etc. Okay, we created this world. Now the world is coming back at us, you know, and telling us, you know, hey, I'm sick. You guys, what are you going to do about it? We don't care. So climate change, like we don't care. All right, we continue to use plastics, continue to, you know, to pollute. As long as life is convenient for us, we don't care, you know. So when we do that, what kind of world do we create? And therefore, we ask this very important question: Is actually our life meritorious? Just by the way we live, is it meritorious? Because it's not consistent, you know. If we want to have a meritorious life that has meanings-based, it is not consistent to the society that's out there. Because outside there is very, very values-based. It's very, very materialistic. It's very, very ROI inclined. We live this kind of life, meritorious-based. How can this, you know, kind of jive with the society? If we do that, then people say, oh, you Buddhists are always withdrawn, you know. But I think the point is, it's not so much of whether we want to withdraw or we want to, you know, change society. We just have to ask ourselves, is this what we want? Okay. So this is, it comes back to ourselves actually. And this meaning versus value thing, we have to really take a good look, right? The world is telling us it's not well. Okay, as a human being, Anthropocene, in an Anthropocene era, what can we do to actually, you know, change the situation? But personally, I think it's too late, you know. You ask us to change lifestyle, very difficult. You mean, you know, everybody has aircon in the house. How can I ask you guys, don't switch on your aircon? Not possible, isn't it? You know, if you switch on, you switch off your aircon, then I say very good, you know. But basically, that's how it is. Our ideals versus what is society's values. Do we want to reconcile them or not? Okay, if we want to reconcile, how do we do it? First, we start with ourselves. Okay. So basically, what we can do is that once we understand meritorious deeds and what the Buddha said, he exhorts us to practice it in every moment, not just during an occasion, not just during a formal situation, but in every occasion. Just now in one of the 10 lists, right, I share with you, just by sitting down, bhavana, sitting down, meditating, is merit making. Why? Because you stop doing nonsense. You just sit down and you think good thoughts, you share good thoughts. That itself is a good thing because it stops you from making a nuisance of yourself in society. So every moment is a merit making moment. Number one is to cultivate yourself. By cultivating yourself, sitting down, standing up, lying, walking, it by themselves, being mindful, that itself is the merit making opportunity. Okay. When you do that moment to moment, you are therefore training yourself in merit making that yields long lasting happiness. Right? So we can start off by cultivating the practice of giving, virtuous conduct, and meditation, mindfulness, or practicing mindfulness or metta. And by cultivating these activities, we arrive in an untroubled and happy state. Okay? Because merit making basically denotes happiness. Create what is desirable, pleasant, dear, and charming. That kind of mind, that you build over time. Sometimes people ask me, sometimes he says, you don't seem to be troubled, always happy. I say, how you know? You don't know what kind of problem I'm having, Sometimes I cannot sleep, really. But I don't really show off, go out there and show down, bad mood or something like that. I just take it basically, just take it. But I have to admit, how I take a bad situation and just go through it. Instead of just showing, bad moods or throwing tantrums, I attribute this to past situations where if I got a chance, I'll just provide help to anyone. When you do that, as I mentioned just now earlier in my sharing, when you, let's say, give you lessen the opportunity to be greedy, you lessen the opportunity to be selfish. Okay, when you rejoice in other people's merit, you lessen the opportunity to have envy, lessen the opportunity to have jealousy. Okay, so the moment that you do any one of these positive things, you lessen the negative ones. When you do it over time, it becomes a habit, right? That habit will deal in your personality or the character, right? It will not easily break down, into a sulk, for instance, SULK, a sulk. I know people, when things are good, very happy. When things are bad, wow, the bad mood comes, and then throwing tantrum, no mood, don't want to do anything. There's no consistency in character, all right? But if you are able to conduct yourself in a very, very equanimous way, whatever happens, you're like that. It shows that practice of goodness has provided result. Okay, I see myself today and I see myself 30 years ago, very different. I'm the kind who is like my friend say make a mountain out of a molehill. Small problem become big problem. That was me, many years ago. So today, when a big problem comes, even a problem that is huge, it comes and I say, what happened? Yes, you'll be sad for a few moments and like feel lost what to do, this kind of problem, and then you come down, right? You come down, automatically come down, and then you analyze the situation again. And then think of ways, okay, you cannot solve it this way, can you solve it in another way? All right? You start thinking, And then another way of problem solving, I teach you guys is buying time, right? You cannot solve the problem now, so you buy time. How do you buy time without creating even more worse situation? This starts with your wisdom, right? So it's a skill. It's a skill that needs practice. But you cannot have this skill and practice this skill if your base is very choppy. You know, if you are happy only when your things are going well, and sad when things are going badly, you cannot practice like this because you're making very bad decisions in that kind of mindset. Once you have this equanimous mind, a mind is stable, whether in good times or bad times. When the bad time comes, then you know, okay, all right, let's see. Think through first. Okay? You don't have to think it right now. Think through first. How can we solve this thing today or tomorrow? Go back. Go down. Go back to sleep. Don't think about it. Go back to sleep. Sit down, meditate, and then the answer will come, right? And believe me, I've gone through it many times. Things will solve by itself. Strangely, you know, right? Because problem solving is not just you alone, but you need the cooperation of everybody involved. So if you have not created this opportunity and the cooperation of everybody involved, the solution will not come. Okay. So therefore, I think it's important to start with ourselves to create opportunities where every moment is a merit-making moment. Right? Our life is actually a big opportunity, you know, to do this every single waking moment. So do not lose it. Do not, give up, and saying that, it's boring. No, it's not. It's an opportunity for you to build your base for now and for the future. Okay. So when we do good, when we do meritorious needs, there are two things that will happen. Number one is that it rejoices now, and then it rejoices thereafter. Okay. Now I'll bring back the topic of transference of merit. Okay. So I believe personally, right? In order not to be conflict, of the traditional transfer of merits that we are being aware of, right? Versus say, if you go to listen to monks, they will say, there's a conflict of interest. You transfer merit, and what about karma vipaka? The Buddha's teaching is if you do something good, you get good result. Do something bad, get bad result. It's very obvious one, okay? Karma teachings as it is like that. But if you say, I can transfer merit to this guy and to lessen their karma, bad karma, does it work that way? Some monks say yes, some monks say no. So you're confused, okay? So the best thing is, I think, personally, instead of just looking at this situation and say being confused with dogma, right? I will call it dogma. I would say, let's just do good. And what is the result of doing good? Ask yourself these things, okay? And let's say if you do bad, then you ask yourself, what is the result of doing bad? So the two experiences that's very clear in this, and this is not only just based on what the sutta teaches, but also what I believe I personally encountered. And I will share with you, and I'm sure you've gone through the same thing. This is something that is not peculiar to me or peculiar to any monks, peculiar to anyone. When you do good, example here, the Buddha says, when gifts are given to noble, upright, and equiposed persons, the merit thus acquired is pure, abundant light. And they who rejoice, anumodanti, by explaining sadhu or render their service, they also receive merit, puñña, and their merit is in no way smaller. You do good, you share the merit, all right? And the person acknowledge the merit. All these merits acquired by the giver and the receiver is the same. It's called spreading goodwill. All right, let's call it spreading goodwill. You do good, then someone receives the good, and then they rejoice. And then these two come together, and we have goodwill. Right? Goodwill. Simple as that only. So spreading merit is like burning incense, When you burn an incense, it releases the perfume. And this perfume travels everywhere. Above and below, north, south, east, west. Everywhere it goes. Sometimes the wind blows stronger, it blows this side, right? But if there's no wind, it pervades everywhere. So doing good actually releases you. It teaches you to let go. Because you're giving time. You're giving yourself. You're giving meaning. Then when you do something of that sort and not expecting anything in return, it becomes meaning-based. Okay, meanings-based, not value-based, meanings-based. When you do that, like the burning incense releasing the perfume, your mind becomes light. Your heart becomes light. There's nothing that bogs you down, right? Like the perfume, it sprays everywhere. Okay? Once you have this kind of lightheartedness or like-mindedness, it's very easy to let go. Okay? It's very easy to let go. So I believe this sort of mindset, when you go around, right, helping other people, and then some people say, oh, not only help humans, what about devas, what about, departed relatives? I say, when you rejoice, example, I remember all my ancestors, my grandmother, my great grandmother, my grandparents, all my uncles and aunties who passed away. When you rejoice, what do you do actually? You bring back memories. What it said to you long time ago, correct or not? Those memories build your character, I remember some of my sayings that my uncle gave. Until today, it becomes part of me because I believe these values are so good, it becomes part of you, right? And then it builds your character. And then you rejoice, okay? You rejoice. And then later on, when I have children, I will bring up these stories, and say, oh, this grandfather Flintstone, I call him Flintstone, and tell my kids, Flintstone must do like that, all right? And then he will say, okay, one of his famous saying is, respect the elders and you will be very wealthy. And wealth can come in many ways, Until today, I cannot forget that saying. Same thing, I'll tell my children, So when you say share merits, you remember good things that is passed down from your generation, right? And then you pass it on to the next generation. And then when they practice those values, isn't it a rejoice of what the old generations have done? Okay? You actually, that the merits has been transferred, transferred in a mental way. So when you do that, you build new things come up. It's like lighting candle. From one candle, you light to another candle. The first candle will not have less light. It's the same, right? Until it exhausts the what call this, the candle is exhausted. No more wax already. Then it dies naturally. But it continue moving on. Okay? So when we say rejoice in good, transfer of merits, we do it this way, in a mental way. Okay? Not so much of what call this, you do some good, you earn the merit, transfers to somebody else, and that's it, wash your hand. You done your job already. And this is attitude we hold, during Qingming, that's what we do. Then after we do good, and then transfer to them, then we say, oh, okay, for next year, please bless us, don't give us any more trouble. So I don't think it's the right attitude, So basically, when we say transfer merits, we mean to recall the good things, right, the noble things that the person has done, and pass it on to whoever that it comes along. Okay, so doing good releases, it opens up our heart, and lightens up our mind also. On the other hand, if you do evil, do bad things, it's like a shadow that follows you everywhere, isn't it? You're looking around, make sure that nobody's spying on you, or then you feel like an anchor that holds you down. You want to go anywhere, it's so difficult. You're scared to show yourself because you're doing all this nonsense. Correct or not? So when you are doing evil, you cannot be like the guy who's doing good, because your mind is not light. Your mind is heavy. Your mind is being burdened with guilt, full of guilt, and you're scared to go around. People will spot you. You see. So when you do meritorious deeds, it releases you. Just imagine like a perfume, incense releasing the perfume. It releases you. And this perfume goes everywhere. Okay? So therefore, when you say transference of merit, it is transferred in that way. Not literally, maybe, all right? We don't know. Not literally. Maybe Deva is, receiving my merit here by giving talk like this. I don't know. But if they see, and then they say, okay, this guy doing good thing today. Let me see what he can do. I can do for him. If he does, fine. He doesn't do, never mind. All right. But we do our good deeds anyway. and let the merit accumulate. All right. And if we just do that, I'm sure the world is a better place, because it's just doing good all the way. There's nothing to lose. Just good and good and good, and then everything gets accumulated. Okay, so I think that's about it, my talk. So thank you for your time. If you have any question, I'm happy to help you answer.
Hi, brother. Speaking about questions, actually, we do have some questions from
So fast.
Facebook. Yeah. People have been writing down as live ago. You're a very interesting speaker. People like you have a lot of questions for you. So the first question is, when we perform dana, we wish for health, wealth, and happiness. Is that subtle greed? Because our dana is not totally pure because we give with expectations.
Well, expectation to who? If it's to yourself and to your family only, yes, of course, that is a kind of expectation, all right? But if you say doing dana for the health and happiness of the receiver, okay, and to everyone, not just yourself and your family. Once you do that, then you're practicing detachment in some way. You're not expecting anything, okay? You're serving another person. You're giving yourself fully, okay? And when you do that, you actually break down your ego. So I think it depends on how you what's your mindset when you do that. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, brother. We hope that answered your question, Miss or Mrs. Hai Eng. Another question is, it is mentioned in a sutta that giving to monks earn more merit than giving to a layman. Buddhists wait for an opportunity to serve monks rather than society. Isn't this a form of mental defilement? How do we give sincerely without expecting any reward?
Okay, that's why, when I used to attend some talks by this Indian guru. You heard of Sadhguru or not? I think some of you probably go to YouTube.
Oh yeah,
and,
Sadhguru.
you listen to this guy, but he's a Hindu, okay? But he gives very good Dharma sharing, okay? Maybe not necessarily Buddha Dharma, but Dharma sharing. He says, every religion has a social context, social and cultural context. He asked a very interesting question. He says, why is it in the East, especially Indian religion, have karma and what can it
rebirth.
Karma and rebirth. But the West don't have, and everybody say there's one God. How can this God talk like that one? You get what I mean? In the East, you have karma and rebirth. West don't have, right? But if you look at the basic teachings of all this religion, it's basically the same, not to do evil and do good, right? And cultivate ourselves. But how you cultivate is different, of course, in the direction that you go to. Now, let's not talk about Western and Eastern religion. Let's talk about Buddhism itself. Mahayana and Theravada, example. Okay? Theravada monks don't work. Mahayana monks and nuns, they work. They set up a monastery in the mountain. If nobody serve them, never mind. They can cultivate themselves. And then they plant their vegetables because they're vegetarian. And then they survive. Right? But in Theravada, the monks don't work, Right or not? They need to be served by the community. They do not do agriculture. And whatever food people give to them, they eat. You see or not? So even in Mahayana and Theravada, you have a different culture altogether, right? Because in Theravada countries, they do not work the monks, and therefore you serve the monks. And in return, the monks give you teachings. This symbiosis gives an idea that, the monks are one step towards Nibbana. We are far away. Therefore, we support them, and they give us back the teaching, and maybe, we compensate. And that is why this idea came about that, I serve the monk, I get more merit. I serve the society, I don't get more merit. But if you look at Mahayana, it's not the case. It's not the case. You are with them. You want to cultivate, just go to the monastery, and then the monks and nuns will take care of you. And then you support the monks and nuns in other ways, right? But it's not so clear-cut as in Theravada country. So the social setting is also very important. You have to look at the social setting of the teachings. Okay? So in Theravada countries, obviously, when you have this symbiotic relationship with the monk, you serve the monk and then you get something in return. And because you believe that this return that you get from a monk is pure one, untainted, because it's Buddha's teaching. And therefore, the thinking is, oh, this is more valuable than serving society. Okay? So I think this mindset, I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm saying is understand the cultural and societal context, how this came about. All right? And then always go back to the basics. Like just now, the 10 points, 10 ways of merit making. The 10 ways of merit making I shared with you just now, it's not only for monks, it's for everyone. Correct. And the Buddha say, he never say, you serve monk, you get more merit. Never say like that. All he's saying, you should practice meritorious deeds at every waking moment. Because it is cumulative and it is good for you. You will never lose one. Sure, you always gain. Okay? But he never say, do your meritorious work only, to monks. But he did say, serve those who are noble, serve those who are pure. Okay? It can be anyone, noble and pure. I give an example just now. I talked to a guy who got dementia. 1 hour, I get nothing. I get a broken record again and again and again. But that's him, Sincerely, that's him. He has no intention of harming me. He just begin by himself like that. And you spend 1 hour with him. At the end of the time, he's so appreciative. So, is this wasted time? I don't know. To me, it feels like wasted. But to him, it's so valuable. All right? So, we do not measure our deeds by who we give. We just measure by intention. When we serve like this, without any expectation, okay, and we serve with wholeheartedness, I think that's good enough. All right? But of course, you don't serve people who take advantage of you. There's nothing to do with that person. It's you that's stupid, you see. So just be clever, all right? And spot if you think it's good, just do. I give an example. In Thailand, because it's a Buddhist country, and some Thai people tell me, lay people monks are very lazy, never practice one, live off the temple. Okay, they learn how to chant. That's it, They chant to earn money because they are able to receive the ang pao. So they chant to earn money, and that's it. They know how to do blessing, and they do it, because the people are basically ignorant, and the problem is people regard the monk as valuable. Okay, so the monk keep them ignorant. Is this a healthy relationship? I don't think so. If you don't believe, I just go to Wachetawan in PJ during Vesak. During Vesak, you just do nothing except observe in the main shrine hall. Everybody go to the shrine hall, right? And everybody take turn to be blessed by monks. Then the monk do what? Give the bowl, and everybody put in things into the bowl, right? They put in their car key, their wallet, credit card, they put inside there and let the monk bless. The monk happily bless because the moment he do that, he get a lot of ang pao, right? And then you have this idea, the people say, oh, I've done good meritorious deeds. I supported the monks. Is that the way to go? I don't think so. So if you look at the Buddha's teachings and then you just really scan through what I've shared with you today, it's not like that at all. It's not like that. Whatever happened during the time in the Vesak, it is called materialism, spiritual materialism. You pray to get, good luck. So I don't think that's the way to go. All right. So just serve with good intention. I think that's the most important thing again. Not necessarily to whom. And make sure the person you serve don't mistreat you or don't take advantage of you. That's very important also. Okay?
Right.
Thank
you so much for sharing, brother. And we hope that answers your question. All right. We have two more actually. As I understand, only Peta can receive our transference of merits. Why then do we transfer merits to devas when they do not need our merits, since their realm of existence is much better than ours? It is like giving 10 ringgit to a rich person. A beggar or Peta needs the 10 ringgit badly. Is it true Peta only receive one part of the merit transferred, the doer gets 6 parts? Yeah.
I think I explained in my talk also, and when we see transfer of merits, sometimes we take it too literally, all right? And what I learned from my Buddhist studies is that this transference of merit didn't come during Buddha's time. It came a few centuries later. Okay, some of these monks, Ashwagosha, Buddhaghosa, started talking about transference of merit. And do you notice the Mahayana transference of merit is so important relatively to say Theravada Buddhism. Transference of merit in Mahayana Buddhism is one of the core, a core in their basic teachings. And you must understand why Mahayana Buddhism emphasizes so much on transference of merit. Because in Chinese society, you understand Mahayana Buddhism went from India to China. In Chinese society, filial piety was already established. Okay, already established filial piety. Respecting your parents, your deceased relatives, they already established. So in order to bring Buddhism into China, they turned this transfers of merit into that. Okay, and then Mahayana Buddhism kind of expanded this universe of various kinds of beings. The Peta got many kind, and then the Deva got many kind, in their own languages and all. If you see in the Buddhist suttas, there is also a description of various kinds of states of beings. Yes, but it's not as detailed, as in the Mahayana suttas. So what I'm saying is that, again, this is a cultural context. Okay, a cultural context. I think we shouldn't measure, Peta is when you share, how much you get, and Deva, how much you get. So I suggest that to turn this analogy between Deva and Peta into real life. In the real world, got Deva and got Peta, correct or not? You got rich people and got really poor people. Okay, so as you said in your example, what's the difference between me giving 10 ringgit to a rich person and then give 10 ringgit to a poor person? It makes a lot of difference to different group of people, So if you really want to practice giving, in this sense, a transfer of merit, you try practicing in the real world first. Okay? Because I personally feel let's say you keep on offering and burning, you cannot see. There's no proof. There's no proof that you are helping Petas more than you're helping Devas. Okay, I'm talking being practical, all right? So you can read about it. It's already in the scriptures, right? You can read about it. It may not answer your question, but I'm emphasizing more on practice. Why speculate when you can actually practice? When you actually can do something rather than sitting down and speculating. Better get 1/6, is it, of the Deva? Okay, you speculate until the world end also. What benefit will that help you? Nothing. You can just continue to speculate. But if you can say, let's create this analogy. Deva, this rich man A. Peta, poor man B, example. Okay, let's do something about this. I take my money and give to the Peta guy, the B guy. See what happened to him, right? Then I say, okay, I want to help the A guy also, the rich guy. You give and see what's his response. And then you see for yourself the direct result of this sharing, direct result of this giving. And you will see something exactly what the sutta says, then your answer is there. Okay? So practice giving by doing the giving, not speculating on the giving. When you do that, you learn the Dharma. Okay? Otherwise, it's just dreaming only. Dream, speculating, nothing will happen. Learn about it, fine. It's a story but practice. Okay?
All right. Thank you for sharing, brother. And I also believe that practice is more important than just the theory behind it, right? Okay, we have one last question, all right? Also kind of related to the one previously. If we do a lot of good deeds and share with Devas, how do we know Devas are protecting us from harm in our daily life? Maybe the Yakas or earthbound Devas are protecting us and not the heavenly Devas who are enjoying themselves. May I have your opinion?
Okay. How do I say? We are human beings, right? even though we say we are Buddhists. Buddhists say there's no God. We tell the Christian and the Muslim, right? Buddhists say there's no God looking at us or telling us, everything is created by him or her, whatever. Buddha says we cultivate ourselves, correct? We cultivate ourselves and then we reap the fruits that we sow. Correct or not? Buddhists always say like that. Then suddenly, this God is downgraded, from a big G to a small G. Right? The small G is called Devas. Devas got all their cohorts. They call it yakas lah, don't this and that lah. They have this universe, of the heavenly beings. So we don't have a big God. We have a unseen realm of heavenly beings with a small God and his cohorts. Now, apparently, if we do something good and we send the merits to these heavenly beings, like you said just now, Brother Sean, when we have this small God who is Deva enjoying themselves, they don't care about us, and you have all these yakas and all. Okay, these are the go-between between the small G God and us. Okay, so we send merits to them. Hopefully that, they'll make things smoother for us. Honestly, I believe Devas exist because they are just energy. All right, they're just energy. If you want to share merit with them, fine, there's no issue. But to be having the belief, to say that, I do this thing, hopefully it will appease these lower gods here, then all the things that I do will be smooth. We have not got ourselves away from the mindset of the God religion, like Christianity, Islam. We have not, even though we call ourselves Buddhists, somewhat Theravada Buddhists, but we have not got away. We are still stuck in that mindset. We still need an external force to help us. Okay? We still need expect an external force to be by the side of us, inside us, outside us, through us, like Jedi, So as though this universal force is supposed to help us. Now that is actually feeding your ego. It doesn't work that way. You have to release your ego, let go, not feeding it. Okay? Because you think you're doing something good, you're expecting something in return, and you implore the powers, unseen powers, to be at your behest to get what you want. Now, this is called ego at top level. All right? What we need to do is to really break this mindset and say, I'm doing good because I want to do good. I don't care the result. I don't care if the Devas don't hear my plea. I don't care if the Jakas don't hear my plea. I don't care. I just want to do good. Every single waking moment is a meritorious waking moment for me. I want to do good. All right? If I do good and the result is good, I am happy. I feel released. My mind is light. My heart is light. And therefore, I exist like that. I believe me, if you just do this day in, day out, every single moment, your life will change. Because the Buddha already said, it's like a big pail, You drop the water little bit by little bit, soon it will be filled. And then the merit come, all right, in so many ways you don't even expect. Okay? Don't be a short-term gainer, Don't be a short-term gainer. You do something, and then something will come. We don't know, but it will come. All right? And when it comes, you'll be so overwhelmed and say, "Ayyo, what happened?" You don't know. You just don't know. All right? So when you live like this without expectancy, your life is happier. Your life is less burden. Okay? Because you anticipate less. When you anticipate less, you don't say, "Oh, tomorrow come or not, next week come or not." I tell you, I got a case where when some of my fundings or project funding takes so long to come, At one time, I was so stressed out because I'm waiting. Oh, next month, 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, 1 year. Few years also never come. Okay? So I decided, enough of it, waiting. So what I do is I just do what I need to do every day. Don't anticipate anymore. The mindset totally changed. Okay? And because of the delay, circumstances have changed, If the fund came in 2 years ago, I would have wasted everything. But because the fund is coming later, and now we have COVID, 1 whole year of COVID, the plan totally changed. I would have used the fund for something that is post-COVID rather than pre-COVID. Can you imagine the disaster if the fund came before the COVID? I would have done something that's totally useless, and after that, all the money wasted and the project gone. You get what I mean? So you just don't know. You just don't know what things will happen. You just be patient and just continue to do your good thing. Minute by minute, day by day. You don't care about anything else. All right? If the thing comes, it comes. If it doesn't come, be patient. Because better thing is coming. All right? You don't know. So don't ask too much. Just relax. Relax. Like Thai people like to say, sabai, sabai, easy, relax, My plane ride. Let go. Just be calm, peaceful, and things will work out, I would say. Okay? Any more questions?
No more questions, brother. Thank you for answering all the questions, and
Okay.
we hope to the asker that we have answered all your questions. Now, I know you were talking about this your entire talk just now, but let us share some merits with our departed relatives and other beings around us. All right, but we share with good intention, and we share because we want, not because we want something, but because we want to help other beings. All right, with pure intention. All right.
Okay, brothers and sisters in the Dharma, let us bring to mind our loved ones, relatives, and friends who have passed away, and let us share the merits that we have accumulated for their well-being, and then we will follow by making aspirations for our practice. Idam me nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam no nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idam wo nyatinang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Eta wata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabe sata anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya. Idam me punyang asawa kaya wahang hotu. Idam me punyang nibbanasa pacayo hotu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.